Hello and welcome to Royale Without Cheese, our bi-weekly podcast in which we discuss both the classic and the unknown of art and popular cinema from the then and now. We are your hosts, me, Tomás Ferreira, Leonardo Miranda,
Hello.
and Miguel Aido.
Hey.
As part of our awards season segment, we'll be looking at the likely contenders for the 2026 Oscars. Today we talk about Marty Supreme, but before any ado, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, or simply give us a like. Marty Supreme is a 2025 American sports comedy drama directed by Josh Safdie and co-written with Ronald Bronstein. Starring Timothée Chalamet in the title role and set in the 1950s, it follows fictional American table tennis player Marty Mauser in his quest to become world champion. Safdie and co-writer Bronstein began developing the film in 2018 after Safdie was given a copy of Marty Reisman's 1974 memoir, The Money Player, The Confessions of America's Greatest Table Tennis Champion and Hustler. Marty Supreme premiered at 2025 New York Film Festival. The film received widespread acclaim, becoming A24's highest-grossing film to date. It received 9 nominations at the 98th Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director and Best Actor, 11 at the 79th BAFTAs, and 3 nominations at the Golden Globe Awards, with Chalamet winning 1 for his performance. Very well, a ping-pong tale for the ages, but what did Royale Without Cheese truly think of this little loudmouth New York kid with a penchant for doing performance acts with other people's money? Fellas, grab your balls and rackets, cause what do we say? I say, I'm ready.
Well,
There you
I think
Backhand,
You were not
backhand,
informed.
forehand.
Bring rackets.
Not
yeah,
informed.
this is just solo bit.
Solo bit. So what did you think of
Well,
Marty Mauser and
I
company?
think this is the one where
We're gonna
the
disagree.
division is established.
Comes in. Oh really? Is it the Y division? Strong division? Or
No, but I mean,
I think it's soft.
It's a soft division. Maybe not that soft.
softish. Yeah.
Okay. You
Me and
loudmouth New
Tomás?
Yorker.
We love the film. Mike, not so much. He's a little on the fence,
I
clearly.
give it a B plus.
B plus.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be
It's
But I would
good,
also
it's
give it like a B
quite-
plus. I also
quite
see
good,
see
but-
stuff in it that I like less, but the things that I like really
I would give
bring
it
me on the film.
easy A plus. Not even.
All right.
Question
I think I give it a more of an A plus. The first time I watched it and the second time I watched it. Also because it's also to do with the vibe of the room. I went to see it at Cinema Trindade in Porto, which is a very small kind of a theater room, and the audience vibe was so fun. Everybody was laughing, and I laughed so much at so much of the jokes, which I found them funny like the second time around. But just the room was different. Less people, bigger room. Nobody laughed. It was dry as fuck, and I was like, Jesus, people, you're watching like sperm going up, and it's a ludicrous.
You
cut
should
that is,
even
and-
those out, man.
and
You
it's-
should take one very good
Yeah,
with
yeah.
one bad, and suddenly you're also on the B side, man.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're in B with me.
Be with me. But I like very much the film as well. It's a fun ride. It's great to see up close on a big screen, like in a small room, ready to laugh with you. But yeah, what you guys think about the film? Cutting into the nitty gritty.
I don't know. Leo, you want to start just or not? I can.
No, you can start. You can start if you want. I already said I
mean-
really like the film, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
My thoughts are, yeah, we kind of addressed this after we saw the film very casually. What we thought about it. I mean, to me, it just feels like sometimes the film is too random. Like I get the safeties. I mean, this is Josh Solo, but I mean, it's the overall style of the
Yeah.
brothers.
Bronstein.
We've seen Good Time. Yeah, that's basically the reference that I have of their style, especially of this type of comedy.
You never seen
drama.
Uncut Gems?
Yeah, and Uncut Gems as well,
Okay.
yeah. But I feel Good Time maybe goes even further in that sort of randomness direction of the plot, of the meandering character. I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, but both are good examples of their style. So yeah, it wasn't surprising to me. This is what my point was. But in this case, I just felt like it was too much. Like it's not like I like to be guided by the hand, like on the plot. It's not, I don't demand that. But it would have been nice to feel a bit more a sense of direction of where the story is going. It just feels Sometimes like we're hitting milestones of okay, now he's getting ready to get this amount of money to go to the championship. Now he's doing the convincing Kevin O'Leary, and sometimes the ways in which we get to both of these places seem a bit random.
Mechanical,
Yeah,
almost random.
mechanical and I don't know. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's not like I disliked it entirely, but I also didn't love it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think the main thing is not even that. I can
Okay.
forgive that because I go along I go along with the story, with the character,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of funny moments, so yeah. But I mean, to me, the main thing was it just didn't feel like I was looking at a portrayal of an athlete in different, truly different ways, which is kind of my main point when I talk with you guys. This is dealing with talent and discipline and striving for greatness, and ultimately it just says top athletes are arrogant pricks, and that's it. I feel like there's more nuance to greatness, to top athletes, to
But
to
he's not
being someone
really a
great.
top athlete. Like that's
Yeah.
not really for me. That's not really what the film treats him as. Like he's more of a like he's good at what he does, but he's more of a misfit in that milieu. And he like it's not like he gets what he wants. He beats Endo, but he doesn't go to the championships. Like and beating Endo is almost it's symbolic. He talks to K Stone, right, about I'm very focused. I'm gonna get I want to be great by my own terms and all that. But he doesn't really achieve what he sets out to do in that sense. Like he doesn't become, at least from what we see in the film, he doesn't become like the number one American uh, table tennis player. He doesn't become that guy. Um, so to me, I guess we just have different views of what the film is seeing of Marty. For me, it's more here's this guy, this hustler, this charlatan who is very focused and is very resourceful. And the film is about his resourcefulness and how self serving his resourcefulness is. And he's a very selfish and self centered guy. But it's still engaging to see. It's not for me. It's not really a film about an athlete becoming great at his sport. So I guess it's just I think we look at the film with different lenses.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. And I kind of agree. I just think that ultimately it's all for this goal of being the number one guy of table
And he
tennis. I
does
mean,
describe himself as an athlete for all intents and
Yeah,
purposes.
no,
but even
absolutely.
if he didn't, I mean, that's what he is, in the paper. Like, okay,
Hmm.
if he's doing the championship and he's playing at this level, he's an athlete. But at the end of the day, regardless of whether he says it or not, I think, yeah, maybe he does have shady ways of operating. Maybe the film spends a lot of time not on table tennis itself, but ultimately the goal is to get there, and it's his striving for it to get there. And my opinion was based on this path that he takes towards that goal, and that's why I was saying, what he sacrifices to get there, the persona that he needs to be in order to get there. Though ultimately I kind of feel like the lesson is you only get to those points by behaving this way. Of course, this film takes it to a next level where we see a lot more illegal things that we probably would otherwise see, and truly like despicable people, and an underworld of crime. That's sure, okay. I'm not saying that it's supposed to depict actual people and like the norm of these guys striving for talent. But there's always a sense of it's what it takes, and we need to be these people. And not only do I think that's not always the case, even though I'm interested in the story as it is, and that there are people out there that exist like this. So fine, it's true, and I like, if he wants to depict the story, depict it. But at the end of the day, I mean, I've seen other stories like this, of really shady people doing crazy things to get to their goals, and even though I like the Safdie approach and I think it's interesting and definitely different and original. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the lesson is kind of the same. And if you want to be a top guy, this is what you need to do. And I mean, I think there's more nuance. I mean, there's always a moral side to it that you need to question. And so, I mean, I would have appreciated if the film delved more into that side of, should I be doing this? Is this worth it considering the things that I'm sacrificing, the things that I'm, doing in actual terms? And I think other films go in this direction and question more these things, and this film doesn't.
What specifically do you think that question will be applied to the should I be doing this? For example, what in Marty's actions would what moment he should have asked, should I be doing this?
I mean, so many scenes with she's what's her name? The
Rachel?
character
Rachel.
Rachel, yeah.
I was going to say Odessa.
Yeah,
Sorry.
My good friend Odessa, of course.
Of course, of course, of course.
the way he treats her is despicable. I mean,
Absolutely.
if he,
Oh
he
yeah,
never
absolutely.
questions whether his treatment of her is fair or good. And that to me is, it's like, okay, maybe there are truly bad people like him out there, but it doesn't make for a likable character. And it's just, the film really depends on the interest of the action and the interest of the plot and the things that it develops and the surprise fact. And I feel that sometimes if you really look at the character, he's just not a good person, not likable, and does too many things either without himself questioning it, or the film or other characters around him questioning it.
Other questions question it. Other characters question it. Like now him, okay, he doesn't. I agree.
Yeah,
But
no,
other
no, no,
characters
but
to question.
okay, maybe they might, but he never takes it seriously. It's
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like like it passes through him. And of course, I mean, I'm sure other characters do it. She questions it. Of course, but
Plenty, plenty. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think that's it. I mean, it just sometimes it feels too dependent on the, let's keep this moving. Let's throw a car against a porch. Let's make a bathtub fall down the apartment. Great, that's interesting. Keeps the plot moving, and that's interesting. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes this character is not nuanced enough on his morals. It's just too mean all the time. And true, and people like that exist. I know it's true. At the end of the day, if he is like that, and it's fair that he is, then I'm just not gonna like him as much. And as a
Mhm.
consequence, I just don't follow him as interestingly as I wished. I just don't feel as much for him when he wins, or I don't feel as much when he gets to be with his baby at the end. It just, like, I don't like that him. I don't like him that much. Just it
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
to
Yeah,
me as
yeah, that's
much.
fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I understand
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
totally.
but what's interesting is that I totally understand what you mean by the character being in some ways unnuanced. The question doesn't hold with me with his morals and whether she should question himself. I love that he doesn't question himself. That's what's so interesting about him. He's a prick. He's horrible,
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, not that I admire the horrible ways that he is. How can a person be this bad? How can a person go through such lengths to fulfill something in his head that in his head represents full happiness, to become the best in the world, the greatest athlete possible, and through the resourcefulness of this hustle culture in which he lives in. I think I'm more on Lenny's end in what comes to what really grabs me or can grab someone onto the screen is how resourceful in his arrogance this guy can be and invent plots to convince people that he will get the money back to them or he will get something back to them so he can get to the next step and the next step. And I don't mind the randomness of the story because I think it's really something that it imbues it with this constant energy of we need to run, we need to go, and it's unpredictable. And how do you solve the next problem? It has that unpredictable quality of life where the next step you won't see coming, and how does he react off of that? Now, the question of him not being nuanced, I agree, but it's more because there are aspects of the character that are left behind. They're a little bit strange. Like, for example, he clearly already lives we don't know the full extent of that, of how real that is. But when we start the movie with him, and he seems to know like these figures of the world of tennis, table tennis players, like he shows to his friend's dad, see this guy, he's he's the number one champion. He's British. I beat him. So he clearly is already playing in a while in this world, and then I'm questioning stuff like, but how was his childhood? What is his relationship to his mother? What's is wrong with his mother mentally exactly? He says that Odessa character is keeping him down as much as his mother did. Okay, what was that? It seems that the mother is a very important plot point as to what made Marty be the way he is, and what is his absent father, because he's not here. So why did he connect to this game in particular? It feels that should have been a little bit of unveiling what was the initial connection of Marty to the game of table tennis. What was that first connection in his childhood? Why is he clinging on to this thing in such a way? I think that intimate portrait of him does not exist in this film, and that doesn't make you create a further sympathy for it. You don't need it, and that's you can perfectly love the film on the basis of him being this character in the present moment that he is,
and the film gives enough that you can kind of understand, and maybe like the reason he fell in love with it is because he was hustling with Wally. They were like when they do that hustling thing to the guys at the bowling alley.
Yeah,
I can kind of imagine maybe that's how he fell in love with the sport. Like maybe that was what he did.
But he already has like this shorthand thing with absolute big players of the game. How does he in New York come in contact with?
But again,
guys?
I don't know
like
if he does. He says he does. You don't know. I don't know if he does for a fact. And he's a fucking liar all the time.
It's true. He could have swindled that Jewish kind of that Jewish guy he was playing with, and say I'm this big guy, because then he's having one. But it does seem like they know each other for a long time, though.
Which one?
Oh. They are so comfortable.
No, that one's
that tells the story of Auschwitz.
Yeah. They have a relationship, of course.
That's like since this guy is much older than him. How did they met? Like it's before.
I think it was just in the game, right?
Maybe even then, how did they meet during the game? And he seems to have a shorthand with more than one player. That there's another player with whom he hush says something, and he wins the game.
That one I know what you mean, but I didn't. I understand. He was giving him tips on how to beat him, like basically. But I don't think he was like a relationship that was formed. It was like
probably that was it.
You beat I beat you, but you could have done this and that. You were forcing me too much on the back end, things like that. I didn't think that one was like a formed relationship.
That's right. That's true. But the one it was such an older guy, his Jewish companion.
It is strange.
He tells the Holocaust story, and I'm like, what is the extent of his experience of the world of table tennis? Sometimes I ask a little bit about that. You don't need it necessarily, and you watch the movie fine, and you can take off these present moment situations like him hustling with Wally, and think that he's already involved. And also, watching the second time made me think, maybe they come from they have this immigrant experience. They are both Jewish. They come from the same maybe neighboring area in New York. Maybe they are both from New York. They came to this game and they met each other. They bonded over those similarities. You could imagine that. So fine, you move along. So you see, it's something that you can fill in the situations easily with these kind of justifications. But it does bear the thing. I would just like maybe a little hint to what is the situation with his mother and their relationship. You broadly stroke it when he comes back home and gives her a present, but anyway, the film doesn't need it, but at the same time, I feel it needs a bit. I don't know. Why is he bounded so much by his mother? What does his mother have? I think there's something there that is not being clearly wants to come out, but it's not coming out. But it doesn't ruin the film for me. But it could complete it. That's what I say. As opposed to what I mentioned in Hamlet, there are problems that do hinder it. Here it's just something that could complete it and make it fuller, better. I just like how Marty, there's part. I do identify with the character in the sense of how there are things in him that I was watching the film and I recognize of myself, not the bad stuff, not the narcissistic, horrible way that he is with people, taking advantage of them and so forth. But the aspects are to do with like his passion, and how he's a yapper and he kind of talks and persuades people through the power of like word, and he has this drive that he impresses with and convinces with and makes people go along with him in things, I was just talking with an actor friend, recently as well, Hugo, and he had the same experience. We're talking about Marty Supreme. I felt that too. It was the same thing, and I identified with Marty to that extent. And that's the thing, you hold on to him in that way, and it's kind of beautiful. You're going with him. That argument with Odessa, where he's saying, I have a very specific purpose, and one that implies his sacrifice. That part of me, the kid in me, the 12-year-old in me, understood exactly what he meant. Like, I was reverse shot to his face saying that, yes, reverse shot to Odessa, you're a horrible person. It was like this ambivalent, bipolar experience, like, you piece of shit. And then look at Timothy again. You know what I'm doing? I can't do this. I'm like, oh, yes, of course, Timothy. It's just this bipolar thing. Ultimately, what wins out of that argument is that you're a piece of shit, of course. And ultimately, as well, I think this entails something, which is the ending should have been different for me. Like, I do give him the winning, this metaphorical moral combat, of tennis, of table tennis playing with Endo, which is the comeback, where he ultimately wins. There's a couple of things there. I think, he didn't win the last time because of the racket, which was a real thing at the time in the 50s. Marty Reisman, I think, didn't win because he persisted with his old model racket. But the thing is, if he lost because this guy has this Salon racket, this is like this superpower, in the next game, why doesn't he become at the same level? He says, what you saw here was a sham, it's not on equal footing. Okay, then either you get the same racket he has, or he gets the racket you have, and that's the truest form of it. And I thought that should have been there. And yeah, because, all to do in the first game, why he loses with this guy, why he loses to Endo in the first game is because of the racket. It's this silent weapon.
Now we can beat
and this
him
time around.
Now he can beat him
with what? The same way he could before.
What? But what are you talking about?
You don't understand this basic principle of like, it's gonna bring a racket. Basically, there's this basic principle of like, Endo has this super racket, right?
Yeah, of course.
With whom he wins the match, the first match.
Marty beats him even though Endo is using the super racket. Like, why is that bad?
I think they should be on equal. Why did he win with the super racket the first time around?
But it's like, Benfica didn't beat Real Madrid one time, but then the other time they beat them. What changed?
But it's not equal footing. It's like Real Madrid had like bionic legs,
And then you think like it's not more rewarding if then Benfica without.
It is more rewarding. Legs. It is more rewarding. But I don't know. I just think it's not. It is more rewarding. But I just think that Marty would have thought about that. He would have won it because he said it the first time.
That I understand. He doesn't mention. It doesn't come back into play.
I think he would. And I just thought he didn't. Again, the fact he didn't say it and he wins it, and it's good that he wins it on his own terms, doesn't make me use that or comment about this.
Pride. It's also pride.
As if it is a mistake that ruins the film. It doesn't ruin it. It just was something that I felt that he missed. But more than that, I think the ending itself of like him winning, great. He doesn't win the official championship, but it is as if he has nothing to lose anymore. It is as if he has become the true world championship because he won the best of the best now, who is leading the way. And then when he comes back home, that's what I don't like so much. I think we need to pull the rug under him, and either Rachel dies or he goes to jail. We can't give him the baby. We can't give him the baby.
Why not?
We can't give him this.
She can just leave. She doesn't need to die. She can just finally say maybe I've had enough of this.
Or say you're not gonna get me anymore. Like, I'm done with you. But you can't give him the baby because I think there's this interpretation on behalf of Josh that he wants one dream ended, now comes another. And he closed those doors. This guy is never gonna stop. This guy is gonna run for the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and it's like, and I think you for all the bad shit, that he did, I think he needs, how should I put this?
Comeuppance.
A comeuppance, yes, and he needs to be like Uncut Champs. Uncut Champs, there was comeuppance. He dies. Here, there must be some way. Odessa, come on, I love you. I love you. Kissing her, for fuck's sake. No. And the thing is, it is clear, and I think the movie is trying to answer that, oh no, like he treats her in a special way than other people that he uses and abuses, than even Kay. Because with her, and only her, he comes back to her, and when she pleads, when she has the black eye, he stops everything and tries to find a place for her at his at his guy's house, and etc. And he's more understanding of her. And then, for example, she shows off the baby, and he first reacts with like, "I'm not the father, I'm not the father." But he's reacting bad that I haven't seen you for ages, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm a wreck," and then hugs her. Those are one. It's always with her and only with her where we see a response from him that has a glimmer of like sympathy. But then he always runs again, and then he always kind of goes off again on his plans and leaves her behind and doesn't care for her. And I think that that's not enough sometimes. If we really are to be sold that he really loves her at the end, he really wants to stay with her and really wants this kid, because he says, "I'm the father," and I was like, whoa, like that's a big thing for this guy to say. Like when he says that, "Oh no, I'm the father," when he's at the hospital, it's like, oh shit, he changed, And Josh wants that, and he has said Josh has said that's what he wants, and it's like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, and it's like,
believe it.
For me to fully believe that, I need to see that some sort of like a really tender moment between the two that goes beyond just like a brief. It's like he compromises. Cedência in Portuguese, like he compromises. When she cries a little, when she shows the brood, okay, you see that he feels for her.
Yeah,
but it almost feels like a compromise. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Now,
you're
now,
crying,
off
then
to
I'm
the
gonna be
blame.
nice.
Yeah. So
And
yes,
especially
yes,
considering
yes and no.
the scene before that they had together was him literally leaving her to go to the championship whilst she was basically giving birth. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that's the last interaction basically that they have, and afterwards he just wants to be Father Marty and hold his kid. Is like, I mean, I think the movie just wanted to give us that, he's gonna change moment and all the shit you've seen.
And of
That's
course, you
that's the
want
old Marty,
that,
and I'm like,
But
nah.
but
I
do
see
you
it
need
differently.
that?
Like for me,
Is that what you need, audience? I don't think so.
I mean, I get what you mean, and I do miss a little bit of comeuppance, or like at least have Rachel tell him something like more, just slap him in the face or something, like I don't know, like just
Hmm.
something that punishes him for the way he treats her, because she is like kind of the emotional hook for him as a character, because the person that, I mean, it's the baby, and if you're gonna end, the movie starts with him getting her pregnant and ends with him looking at his child. Um, but I don't, I can buy it that he would become like this, that he would change upon seeing his kids. You know, uh, I
He doesn't
don't,
change upon seeing the kid. He changes even
yeah, it
before when he
changed before,
says, "I'm the
or
father."
knowing that the kid has been born, like, because that's when the change happens, when he calls the maternity ward, calls the hospital, and they tell him that she's in the maternity ward, so you understand. Oh,
I
the
think
baby
it's
was
even
born
before. I think the
before.
film almost argues that him winning is like the lifting of a curse.
I guess,
He has achieved what he wanted. He was like,
but I'm meaning
and he
like
falls down on the floor
narratively
like Kendo fall.
when he learn.
You
I'm
know,
thinking when he learns.
and then he learned. But that's not it for me. When the weight releases from him is when he falls on the floor and he cries, and he has his back against to the audience clapping to him. And then yes, the phone call is complementary to that, but the change comes there with the winning and the releasing of the curse. Which I feel like that, but I could feel much more like that, and then the phone call
Yeah, no,
and
that's even
etc. and the
better. I
coming.
mean, that makes the movie
If
even
I
better.
saw a more genuine tenderness towards Rachel, that wasn't just a compromise every time
Hmm.
he sees her again, and it feels like almost like,
Yeah, but I
mm,
agree with that, but
no.
I don't think that invalidates the fact that someone like him, like shitty people can be like this, like, and can have this emotional release upon seeing their own child. Like, I don't think him crying and you thinking, oh, is he going to be a good father or not? Is he going to be a better person or not? Maybe, probably not. I don't think he's going to be a better person. I don't think the movie, at least for me, even if Josh disagrees, I don't, like, it doesn't matter. Like, for me, it's not seeing this moment of him crying and looking at his kid doesn't mean that, oh, that the old Marty is gone, now is the new Marty. I don't see it that way at all. I just see someone who is a shitty person, who has done a lot of shitty things, is faced with something new, which is a great responsibility, and like there comes this emotional release, because I mean, it's a child, it's a kid, like that completely changes your life. And even if he's a shitty person, his life is gonna be different. He maybe is gonna continue being shitty, but
It's more,
it's different.
it's the I'm the father that surprises me, you know? I totally understand what you mean there, but the beforehand, I'm the father, before seeing anybody,
But he
before
is the
seeing Rachel,
father.
his
He knows
mother.
he's the
No,
father.
he has
Like,
no, but
you
before he
know he
said I'm the
knows.
uncle. I mean, so
But
before
because
he
he's
would
always lying
distance
to other
himself from the
people, of
situation.
course. But it's what you mean. Like he won this game. There was this emotional
I just
release.
don't, it doesn't fit in my head that this guy would the idea of a baby and bounding himself and the straining away from the lone wolf path is not something that it's bizarre to me.
Fair enough.
Like it's really
But I mean, even though
it's really weird.
I do agree.
There was never an echo of that beforehand. An echo of that beforehand. So now that he's doing this, it's like it's a bit weird.
I do agree with Loa. I do think the moment itself might not fully mean it's gonna change. My
I agree
problem
with
with
that
it
too.
is it comes at the end, and that is in itself telling. I mean, if that's how you choose to end the film, that's the last shot you have of him. No matter how much you can theorize that he's gonna continue being a bad person, the last images that you have of him, not just visually, emotionally, is okay, he's redeeming himself and he's becoming a father
Hmm.
and he's changing. Even if he won't, but if you end the film like that, that's how you kind of close a bit his story, and
Hmm.
you can't help but think that it's a moment of change for him, even if he won't. And that's the part of me that doesn't really think it's warranted, because ultimately it's the last things that we see of him, and I'm not sure it makes
I
sense
understand that,
considering.
but for me, it's more because it's at the end. Because usually, when there's such a huge change with a character, you want to show that change. The film is only hinting at the possibility of change for me, and it's leaving it ambiguous for each person to say, do you think he's going to be a good father? Do you think he's going to be a good person now or not? I land on the I'm not sure, but I think he's still like he earns this emotional release despite being a shitty person. I think you guys maybe land more on we didn't fully get there. I think because it's that thing. You see a guy so self-centered, so focused on himself throughout like 2 hours and 30 minutes, who's so selfish, and then suddenly he's faced with something that is, the most selfless thing, which is now here's someone that because of you is now on this earth, and you must care for this thing, for this being, for this kid, so I think for me it worked because it's giving a selfless responsibility to an incredibly selfish character, and it's now the rest of the movie doesn't exist. It's what you feel from it, and I understand you guys perspective absolutely.
I don't know. I just I mean, even his attitude towards the kid and her having like potentially an abortion, like, or saying that he won't be there, it feels like he just didn't care until he saw her. And yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, that makes sense considering he's an incredibly selfish person. And I do get that the release of emotions, he just won the championship, he's gonna cry seeing the kid. I get that. Um, it's just for me the direction that it implies, of looking at the kid and yeah, and it's just implying that he's gonna go in a certain direction. Honestly, it's almost more a personal thing. It feels more like a reward that he doesn't deserve. And I don't know
Yes,
if it's a movie thing, if it's a me thing, but overall, it just feels, yeah, like,
fake.
I mean, maybe by contrast of not having something else afterwards that gives us an hint of she's gonna leave with the kid and he's not actually gonna be able to raise the kid. Something else, but as is, it feels like lacking comeuppance, as we said. And yeah, considering and especially my perspective of the film out of the character, it feels very much like a reward that it doesn't deserve.
Yeah,
But
I
for me,
get that.
it's
I get
how it
that.
overall fits the cake of the film.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, my thing is more
my things with
that
it go beyond.
just on a final on this matter is that
Yeah.
I can't see it as a reward because I like in from what I saw of the character, I don't think he would ever think of this as a reward. Like, or everything we saw of him would indicate that he would run away from being a father and being even like proud of being a father. Which, for again, as Tomás was saying, for you that's a problem, because then you don't understand this action of why is he crying looking at this kid, why is he saying I am the father. But to me, that is what makes it strong, is the fact that I didn't see anything that would tell me that he would be like this, and suddenly he is being like this. To me, I didn't even see it as like, oh, it's a contradiction or it's badly written. I just saw, oh, that is a change that is something. It's strange, like, but I like it. I like that it's because it is something, and you know, people are like this. Like, immature people have kids, and suddenly it's like, how is a 23-year-old gonna deal with that and have this responsibility?
I don't want to cleanse his immaturity. You know, like, I'm perfectly fine with him. You know, even if I'm only saying that I would like to have seen echoes of a greater and honest tenderness towards Rachel on his behalf, and we could have the same ending, basically, exact same ending. And I would believe more when he says, "I'm the father." I believe when he goes to Rachel and says, "I love you," because without that, I don't believe it. And it feels like this is another film. Although I totally understand your perspective, and it's beautiful the way you describe it. You put it in such lovely words, Leo. So I do. I think it's a very interesting perspective, you know, that which lives in the film. And I think in the first time around that I watched it, I had none of these thoughts in me. I have much more your thoughts. While right now, I'm thinking much more on these terms. But it doesn't, you know, to change the matter to other issues as well of what characterizes the film and etc. This thing does not ruin the film for me. It's just a thing that could have done differently, and I think would have improved upon it. What I really liked about the film is really this journey that we're brought upon. First of all, the level of detail that is in creating this 1950s setting, refracted through this 80s music, which is like consumer culture of America stacked on top of each other through what was the 50s, what was the 80s, you know, and the hustle culture of then in those two periods and even now is very interesting, you know, because, you know, the detail of the clothes.
In what way the
cars.
80s? I didn't get it.
The music is completely 80s. It's not period accurate.
I think it's just the choice that he usually does with his composers. I mean, if you look at the movie,
the music
the soundtrack
is very
from
80s.
Good Time,
and he has stated,
yeah, but I mean, regardless of the time period of the film, I think he always goes for this sort of music with a lot of electronic beats and stuff like
for
that.
sure. Yes, I agree.
But I don't think. I think it's the first time that you have like, you know, there's New York.
The songs.
There's
the songs that he actively chooses, you know, more than one.
Yeah.
Forever Young, etc. Very much like going that direction. And I think the music, this is the first music of a Safdie film that I remember, that I can hear or wish to go back and hear again. So there's something there as well to me, picking it or placing it as an 80s thing. Although yes, the vibe is in other films. And also the background artists are amazing. It felt like I was brought back to another way of making films. And seeing different faces, specific faces. There was much more made in the 70s, where you picked up people from the streets. You know, I thought about French Connection and the way he used long lenses in this. You know, how you see, I love the way he used long lenses to place us in this sort of tunnel vision. We're always with Marty and follow him along through these alleyways and corridors and places where he's always locked with a camera. We see him front, we see him back. I love shots of following a character through a crowd and you only see his back and he's moving, and he's like a shark, his mouth half open, kind of like, what was that? What's going on? You know, like he's analyzing, sort of the thing. It's very interesting. And there's also one little trick he does as well when you want to see him like cocky, which is you just have to push your lip like this, you know, and then be like, yeah, what's that, huh? You know, that's what I just said. You know, he says to Kevin O'Leary, you know, he's having a discussion in a restaurant. And he's like, yeah, that's what I just said. I said that. You know, like, I don't know. There's something about that thing that he does more than once. It's very, I looked at that and I thought, that's un-Timothée Chalamet. I'm seeing Marty right now. I know I'm seeing the character. So that was interesting. But the faces themselves are amazing. I thought about Once Upon a Time in America. We did a review of that episode with Jake Abraham. Check it out. It's on the corner. All we're going to put there. And so I just remembered, you know, the streets of this old New York. We had like Once Upon a Time in America ringing many bells, and also The Godfather. I thought a lot about The Godfather. it's in the color, it's in the lighting, it's in the rain as well. I don't know if there's rain even. Is there rain? I don't know. The rain. I just felt.
I
Maybe
think
not.
so.
Maybe there's
I feel there's
not even
rain.
rain.
I feel
I
there's
feel like there is.
Well, a bathtub falls and he gets all wet, so yeah, sometimes there's a feeling of rain, but I don't know. I don't know actually, but anyway, yeah, it's all
Oh
that
yeah,
creates a
that's
very
true. The film builds an
yeah, it
atmosphere.
creates an immersive atmosphere, and that a stylized immersive atmosphere that really grips you throughout, and you feel you are in there. It's very rare to find a film nowadays that immerses you like that. You know, like I'm so taken by it, and then ultimately by who Marty is as someone who is this hustler who persuades people. It's always it's one of the most interesting characters are these characters, these archetypal characters, which they have the gift of word. You know, one of the greatest examples of that is when he's like arguing with his coworker about robbing the vault to his shoe shop and has the gun on his hand. It's almost a scene like it comes out of a Shark Tank episode. I have the gun. I'm gonna assault you. You're gonna give the money. Come on, you can do this, man. I'm gonna be on the plane. You don't want this job. I'm gonna be your boss. I'm gonna be your boss. You know, here's the car. You know, there's a playfulness to it that is amazing, and the theatricality, and it's just great. You know, I don't know. And you have these the underdog is written on him with his zits, you know, and everything. They had to make Timothée Chalamet ugly, and they have these prescription glasses which give him this kind of bowl vision, you know, sort of thing to his eyes, and yeah, you know, it's super. You want to, he's a horrible person, but you want to see him use this gift of word that he has in a spectacle and loudmouthed way to get into rooms and convince people to do things. Like when there's that cut from him going to there's a plethora of great cameos of background artists who are taken from normal life. They're not real life actors. For example, the director of the championship of table tennis, you know, this Mr. Sethi, he's a guy he saw at a TED Talk. That Josh Safdie saw at a TED Talk talking about ping pong as a guide to life kind of thing, and he thought, oh, "This is interesting, dude. He talks well. He could be
that
this
guy, the
director."
Indian looking.
Yes.
That was a good actor, man.
Yeah, he was really
like
He was good.
pro
He was
actor.
good.
Very
And like the
Posh.
you know the guy who's kind of strong and fat, you know, like his friend. I
There's
don't remember
many
his name.
kind of fat guys in the film, I think.
It's true. It's very specific face. Also not a non-actor, you know. And then you have David Mamet playing the director of the theater company.
There's the guy with the golden
that's
voice.
guiding
Let's not forget
The
him.
guy with the golden
the
voice.
golden voice. Yes,
The-
I didn't know him. You knew
The
him. I didn't know him.
radio, the old
Yeah.
YouTube radio guy.
And then of course you have Abel Ferrara, you know, in the film. How cool,
Yeah.
you know, like talk about him, his very specific presence. And this magician, I never remember his name. He's the guy with the shotgun, you know, who steals the
Yeah,
dog
it's
of Betsy
Jan
Gillette.
Gillette?
No,
Penn?
no,
Penn. It's Penn and
Gillette?
Teller. He's Penn, right?
Penn Gillette. Penn Gillette.
Penn
I think
Gillette.
it's-
bunch of them. And then there's another actress who I think was on a David Lynch movie, has a very specific face. She's has a very specific face on one of the. It's a very brief thing. It's on the bowling alley, and she tells one of the guys, "Hey, you gotta
Ah,
move," you know, like this, you know.
She
You know
has
what
a
I mean?
very
I think she
unique
appears on
face, yeah.
Twin Peaks or something. Very unique face. Every person that passed through the screen, I was just mesmerized because it was just. I want to stick with them longer, you know, for how amazing their faces were. And you could see a girl, a boy, you know, everybody was like amazing. Like, I'm not gonna do that for you. You hear me? You know, just like they pop in, they have this attitude, and they just have very specific faces. And it reminded me of like I don't know, Once Upon a Time in America as well. With James Wood also have a very specific face. Yeah, and Marty Mauser, you know, the way he can get things. You know, for example, one of the critical moments where he gets to go to the I don't know the Ritz or the Savoy Hotel because all the judges are in there, and there's this cut between him having this conversation with Mr. Sethi and him appearing at the hotel, and this classic scene. I feel a great defining scene where he's being asked by the press, very specific Englishman. We have this face as if they were completely taken from a Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger film from the 1950s. It's amazing. Like I'm thinking like Michael Powell, Emmerich Pressburger. I want to be there. I want to be in that room. You know, so it's just, it's rare for a film to take you there, and he's just riding the wave, and him being with all those much older men and convincing them of who he is and etc. And just talking and talking. I was like, yeah, Marty, you're gonna do it, you're gonna make it. And I was just like, I was really with him, and he was just saying, my past, just going there, just he has a theatricality to it about him that I really identified. That was like very funny and punchy. Like so it was really cool. And then he sees Kate, and then the way he turns on the chair, and the camera follows him and follows Kate, and he's like. Like, kind of like, my mouth half open, and then he says on the phone to her like, yeah, we made eye contact. And I laughed so much when he said that we made eye contact. She just keeps it on. Yeah, your husband can come up here and I can go down there. It was just amazing. And it was just so enchanting because I'm writing something similar, and I can see the character in many ways in the same way to my protagonist, who also relates with much older woman. So it was interesting to take cues from the film as well, and the play with the apple that falls on the other the balcony, like the table of another building. It's really cool how he can create this effective way to make two characters connect, because she's an actress who it's much more effective if you compare it to Hamnet. It's very brief, the moments that they have, but it's much more effective because they're in these different places of power. They are both performers or artists, so to speak. And Kay is washed up, to put it in crude terms. She's not what she was anymore, and she doesn't feel it as such, even if she has the talent, perhaps. And Marty is this beacon of light that can do anything because she has this power of word, and she goes to the tournament, and he builds up this veneer of being the greatest of them all. And Kay comes, and her husband comes, to whom he's also selling this idea of greatness. And so when he loses, he has all these people witnessing him. And I think the structure is very well done in that sense of like, he's there and she's there, and then he loses, and you really feel it, and he needs to come back home and scrape the bottom of the barrel to go and get money to the next championship. And so you're on that wave, and it's just problem after problem. And I like the unpredictability of it. And he's just getting up his wits and his friends. It's almost like a comedy, in the way there is a straight man to the weird guy, like he's the weird guy, and he always needs a straight man to question him. Like Rachel questions him, his fat friend questions him, or Wally questions him, even if they do help him, and to confront him. And he's never good. He's relentlessly never questioning his morale, which I'm with. He's not like that. He's a shitty person. So that's interesting to me, like that relentlessness. And the best of falling, Hugo says, if you're watching, Hugo has said that the actor that I spoke to a couple of days ago, that the best of falling was not very good to him. He was he didn't understand the logic of it, and specifically the guy, Abel Ferrara, trusting this kid so early. He's so ready to give him this sense of trust and in helping him out with the dog. But I believe that moment, honestly, me personally, because he doesn't have anybody else. He's a pretty shitty dude, and suddenly this guy helps him out of this injury and calling other people to help him. So I could buy it. And then it's very similar from then on to Uncut Gems, and that's why I don't see it as a story of an athlete just that. I think at its core it's a story of a hustler, who happens to be his love or passion or obsession happens to be ping pong instead of gems, for example. And that's his methodology. That's his modus operandi to go about the world.
Yeah, but you can see how
it comes out.
But you can see how the fact that his obsession is a sport that makes a difference, because in Uncut Gems, if he's a hustler but already lives in this sort of shady world of jewelry and selling and betting, it makes sense to see a person delve into this world. And with an athlete, it conjures up more moral questions about the validity of doing those things to achieve your goals. So
I think it's always. I mean, the validity is always questionable. I mean, you can work in jewelry and not be a bad guy.
Yes,
He's saying
not
that
saying I'm not saying all jewelers are Adam
Okay.
Sandlers.
Yeah.
In
Fine.
Uncut
Okay. Yeah.
Gems,
Sure.
but I'm saying the world that he surrounds himself in. I mean, ultimately, his goal is to make money in that film, and here it's winning and achieving sports goals. So it's a bit different to me.
It is different, but also like Adam Sandler, like he's an addict, he's a gambling addict. So there's also that side that is almost,
Yeah.
he's not even. Marty's doesn't have that excuse of addiction in a sense. Like you see Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, and you're like, you know that he's being compelled by like almost a disease. And here it's different.
But to me, it's a disease. It's an addiction. You know, the ping pong or the face behind the mask of ping pong, which is the desire to be great at this something. You know,
I'm gonna be honest,
so to speak.
I think a lot of my experience with the film is
boils down
contaminated by a little being irked by Timothy Chalamet.
Okay.
And it helps sometimes annoy me a little bit, you know, because I don't have that with Adam Sandler. And so when I see that film, even though I think in that film his character has more redeemable moments that Marty doesn't have. But regardless, I think even the actor helps in this case. Or in this case doesn't help. And I think with Marty Supreme, there's just little something in Timothy that I don't know. His persona of film comes in too much to me in the film, and I can't help but think about sometimes
some of the press
stupid. Yeah, some of the stupid
I
things.
think he's emulating the character. Every time he goes on to a press, I think whatever movie's out, he's emulating that. I don't know.
I don't think I adore him.
As an actor, I really like. As a person, I don't like. I don't know.
As a person, I have no idea. But as an actor,
yeah, what I see of him. I wish it wasn't true, but I feel like it infused too much my opinion of the character and of the film.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And that's all for today. If you'd like to reach out and suggest a film for the next episode, you can find us on the podcast official Instagram and website pages. Feel free to subscribe, share this episode, or simply give us a like. That's how our podcast can grow ever more groovy. And if you're on YouTube and want to see more videos like this, check out this next video right here. Thanks for listening and see you next time.
Next time.
Bye-bye.